I've been reading this book called Surrounded by Idiots, and it's pretty much a book about different types of personalities, and then it lists a bunch of colors, well, four different colors, and each color represents a certain personality type, certain traits, certain things about that person. And there's one very common color that apparently one of two people have, and it's called the green color. And the green color is people who are passive, people who try their best to avoid conflict in any case scenario, who don't like to take initiative. They're very, I guess you could say, chill people, in a way where it's like they want peace and quiet pretty much every single moment of their lives. So they don't really like doing new things or active things, I guess you could say. I wouldn't say active things, just new things in general. And so that's why this video might apply to only specifically those type of people, even though it is the most common color. And I think everybody sort of has this in their mind, in their systems, I guess you could say. But everybody sort of has this, especially myself, have this passive aggressiveness in their heart. Now let me explain. So I have bandages right now, right? And the reason why I do is because pretty much all of this part of my palm is ripped open. So it's like more than 3 layers of skin completely ripped here, and also my knees. But the reason why, I guess you can kind of assume now, is I fell down like this on all my fours, and it was during a soccer game. I was running for the ball, and I just managed to step on the ball that was sort of deflated and just fall and trip and fall like this. It was either this or my head, bro. So, and I mean, if it was my head, I probably would not be here right now. I'd probably be in the hospital. So this is worth it. But anyway, that is what happened. Now, if it was a different scenario, if it was somebody who pushed me and I fell on all my fours and then I scraped that and my knees, many people would actually fight back. Many people would be like, bro, what the heck? Why'd you push me? You know, people would defend themselves. But I would take it in. I would be like, listen, man, it's not your fault. Don't worry. I'm going to get this all sorted out. But deep inside my heart, I know it's their fault. And deep inside my heart, I get this rage, this disappointment, this feeling of wanting to get revenge towards this other person because of what they just did to me. In other words, if that was my friend, for example, who pushed me, because I was playing with my friends anyway, if it was my friend who pushed me, even a year after that scenario, if there's something that he's doing that's pissing me off, I'm going to bring up that event again. And the reason why is because I don't sort it out at the moment. I don't defend myself. I don't confront him. I take it in, I say it's not their faults, and then later on, because I take all of this in, because all of this, I guess you could say, energy that I keep inside my mind, keep inside my body, because there's so much of this energy, I have to somehow release it. Because eventually my body kind of gets to a point where it's like, oh, maximum energy, and now I have to now I have to throw it all out. I have to somehow express it outwardly. And so this is what I'm talking about. We're passive aggressive, usually. We, at the moment, don't confront the other person. We take in all of that rage, all of that disappointment, all of that whatever. And then, because we take it in, we have to later somehow exert all of that out. Because it gets too much at a point. And how we usually do it, at least what I've caught myself doing, is talking behind someone's back. Specifically the person that we were mad at. And that, my friends, is passive aggressive. Because we don't really, at least people who are greens like me, we don't really want to confront the person. Because as I mentioned, we want to avoid conflict as best as possible. But sometimes because of our evasion of conflict, it actually brings us into more conflict. Because now we're gossiping behind this person's back to another person. Because that's our way of exerting our energy. That's our way of sort of throwing out those emotions that we bottled in our minds, in our hearts, and since we don't want to exert that in front of the other person to avoid conflict, we do it behind their backs. And so I used to think that I was a very, very humble person because I would bottle in these emotions. I would never really throw it all out. In the book, there's people who are considered blue, which means these are people who can actually take in this energy but also somehow release it in different type of ways, and ways where it's like, I don't really care about this, it's not too deep, I'm just gonna throw it away and not think about it. But for greens, they can do that. All of this, it's like a 40-liter barrel of beer or water, I guess you can say, and eventually it gets full, and when it gets full, the emotions that we exert is so much because it's 40 liters, right? As for the other colors, it's like only 2 liters, and that's why it's so fast and they can confront people very easily. But I'm getting off a side tangent there. I used to think that I'm a very humble person. I used to think because I'm able to control myself and not really confront people, I'm considered humble, I am considered nice. But in reality, because I bottle in all these emotions, because of my idea that the less confrontation, the more nice you are, I actually become a lot less nicer than I think. I hope this is all starting to make sense. Now, I'm not saying confrontation is always the answer, because confrontation can be different. You have to know how to confront people. You have to know to not make it a debate or anything. You have to realize that conflict is resolved as both of you are trying to figure out a solution, rather than kind of debating each other and be like, no, I'm right, no, I'm right, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong. It's two people that are trying to achieve a common goal, and that common goal is the solution to whatever the conflict is. And it could be more than two people, of course. But before we start confronting people, we have to know how to do it, whether it's in public places, in private places. There's so many different factors, right? But I'm saying that sometimes, and I would say most of the time, and I'm talking about people like me, but this could also mean other people as well, because again, green is the most common color. Most of the time, we do the opposite, and the opposite is exactly what we don't need to do. That's bottling in all those emotions, bottling in all that, and it doesn't even have to be anger, it can be sadness, whatever, and then later on releasing it in a very aggressive way. And that makes us a lot less nicer than we think, in my opinion. We gossip more than we think. And there's a lot of people who can deny that, and I don't judge you, because why would I want to consider myself as somebody who's not nice, as somebody who's not humble, somebody who's, not aggressive? I wouldn't want to put myself in those categories, but I think humbleness is humbling yourself and putting yourself in that position, because it's true. At least in my case, it's true. But if I were to think of a solution on the spot right now, it would be to quit thinking that conflict is bad and start learning how to solve conflict in a very great way. And I was already talking about that previously on how to do it, right? Like one common goal, one solution. You guys try to understand each other's perspectives to its finest, put each other in each other's shoes. I think I said that right. But I think the main solution is to be able to learn how to solve conflicts and to not avoid them. Because when we avoid them, when we bottle in our emotions and be like, oh, don't worry, it's not your fault, don't worry, this is all gonna get solved easily. And honestly, sometimes you do need to do that as well, because sometimes conflict isn't the right thing to do at the moment. But I'm saying instead of never doing it at all, first we have to know and figure out when to do it, whether it's at the moment or 2 days later or a week later, and know how to do it. Because if we never do it, we're eventually going to talk behind that person's back, or do something else that exerts that energy that we bottle in. And that makes us a lot less nicer than we think. So this is very important, I believe, and this is something that I'm going to try learning about, how to resolve conflicts properly, how to confront people properly. And I think, honestly, it's one of the greatest skills you can learn both in business and in life in general. So yeah, I don't know why I decided to talk about this, but just felt it in my heart, I guess. Cool. See ya.